The world has always been in motion, but never before has change felt so relentless, so immediate, and so personal. Every day brings something new, a technology that replaces another, an idea that challenges what we once believed, a shift that reshapes how we live, work, and connect. We are living in a time where the speed of change outpaces our comfort zones, where standing still feels like moving backward. What once took decades to transform now changes within months, sometimes even days. The truth is simple yet powerful. The world will not slow down for us. We must learn to move with it, to grow with it, and most importantly, to keep learning through it. There was a time when learning ended with graduation, when people believed education was a phase, a period of preparation before life truly began. But that world no longer exists. Today, learning is not a chapter in our story, it is the thread that runs through every part of it. The skill that brought us success yesterday may be irrelevant tomorrow. The strategy that worked once may fail the next time. The only thing that remains constant, the only strength that endures, is our ability to keep learning, unlearning, and relearning. Adaptability has become the new intelligence. It is not about how much we know, but how willing we are to keep knowing more. Knowledge is static, learning is alive. Knowledge fills the mind, but learning expands it. Knowledge can make us feel certain, but learning keeps us curious. And curiosity is the spark that fuels progress. It pushes us to question, to explore, to imagine beyond what is, and to create what could be. In a world that changes faster than we can predict, the most valuable skill is not what we've mastered, but what we are willing to discover next. Many people fear change because it threatens what they know. But change is not the enemy, stagnation is. The world does not reward those who cling to the past, it celebrates those who evolve with the present. Every invention, every breakthrough, every act of progress began with someone who chose to keep learning when others stopped. Those who refuse to grow become prisoners of their own certainty, while those who embrace learning become architects of the future. That is the real difference between surviving and thriving. The world will continue to move faster, deeper, and in directions we can't always predict. But those who understand that learning never ends will never fall behind. They will adapt, evolve, and lead, not because they know everything, but because they are brave enough to keep learning. In a changing world, lifelong learning is not just a tool for success. It is the essence of human resilience. It is what allows us to not only face change, but to shape it to become active participants in building the future, rather than passive observers of its unfolding. Lifelong learning is often misunderstood as an academic pursuit or a professional obligation, but in truth it is a way of being. It is the quiet decision we make every day to stay curious, to stay open, and to stay humble enough to know that no matter how much we have achieved, there is still more to discover. It's not limited to classrooms, degrees, or formal training. It happens in conversations, in mistakes, in challenges, and in the moments when life forces us to think differently. Lifelong learning is not about collecting information. It's about cultivating growth. It's about expanding the boundaries of who we are by constantly challenging what we know. The essence of lifelong learning begins with humility. The moment we believe we know enough is the moment we stop growing. When we admit we don't have all the answers, we open ourselves to new possibilities. That humility becomes our strength because it allows us to listen, to question, and to evolve. The most intelligent minds in history were not defined by what they knew, but by their relentless desire to keep knowing more. Curiosity was their compass, and learning was their journey. The world they shaped wasn't built on certainty. It was built on wonder, the willingness to explore the unknown. True learning doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the tension between what we know and what we have yet to understand. It demands vulnerability, the courage to say, I don't know, but I want to learn. This is what separates growth from stagnation. When we keep learning, we don't just acquire new skills, we expand our mindset. We begin to see problems as opportunities and failures as teachers. Each challenge becomes a classroom, each mistake a lesson in disguise. The goal is not perfection, but progress, the kind of progress that transforms not only what we do, but who we become. In a rapidly evolving world, The value of learning lies not just in knowledge itself, but in the ability to adapt that knowledge to new realities. The future belongs to those who can learn, unlearn, and relearn faster than change itself. Lifelong learners are not afraid of the unknown because they see it as a frontier for discovery. They don't cling to what was, they reach for what could be. Their mindset is one of expansion. They know that every question opens another door. Every skill learned creates another possibility, and every perspective gained makes them more capable of shaping their future. Lifelong learning is not a task to complete, but a mindset to embrace. It keeps us alive, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually. It keeps our hearts curious and our minds open to the endless potential within and around us. Those who never stop learning never stop evolving. They don't wait for change to find them, they become the change. And in doing so, they remind us all that learning is not the path to the future. It is the path that creates it. The power to shape the future begins with a single decision, the decision to keep learning. Every time we open our minds to something new, we add another piece to the foundation of tomorrow. The future is not an accident waiting to happen. It is a creation born out of curiosity, effort, and growth. When we learn, we don't just gain knowledge, we gain perspective, and perspective changes everything. It allows us to see connections where others see separation, possibilities where others see limitations, and opportunities where others see obstacles. Every learner becomes a builder of the future, because learning transforms not only what we know, but how we think, how we act, and how we lead. Learning gives us the power to question the status quo. It gives us the courage to challenge outdated systems, beliefs, and ways of working. The people who shape history are not the ones who followed what already existed. They are the ones who dared to imagine what could be better. That imagination is the child of learning. The more we learn, the more our minds stretch beyond the limits of what seems possible. Each new idea, each new skill, each new insight becomes a tool we use to build the world we want to live in. The future is not discovered by chance, it is designed by those who refuse to stop learning. Leadership itself is built on the foundation of continuous learning. True leaders are not defined by authority or titles. They are defined by their willingness to grow. They are students before they are teachers, learners before they are guides. They learn from failure, from experience, from others, and from change itself. They adapt before circumstances force them to, because they understand that growth is not reactive, it's intentional. The ability to lead in times of uncertainty comes from the habit of learning long before uncertainty arrives. The leaders of tomorrow are not those who know the most, but those who are most willing to keep knowing. Learning connects us across generations, industries, and cultures. When we learn, we build bridges between what was and what will be. We draw wisdom from the past and combine it with innovation for the future. That combination, the balance of experience and curiosity, is where progress is born. Every major transformation in history has come from someone who was willing to ask why and what if. Those two questions are the heartbeat of learning, and they are the same questions that drive evolution, not just of technology or systems, but of humanity itself. The future will always belong to the learners, because learning is the ultimate act of creation. It transforms uncertainty into opportunity and turns possibility into reality. The power to shape the future never ends as long as we keep learning. Every new insight becomes a seed planted in the soil of tomorrow. And as we keep learning, those seeds grow into ideas, innovations, and actions that redefine what is possible. The truth is simple yet profound. The future is not something we wait for, it is something we learn our way into. The path of lifelong learning is not always smooth or easy. It demands persistence, courage, and a willingness to face our own limitations. The greatest barriers to learning are rarely external, they live within us. Ego, fear, and complacency are the silent forces that hold us back. Ego convinces us that we already know enough. Fear whispers that if we try to learn something new, we might fail. And complacency tells us that where we are is good enough, that there is no need to grow further. These barriers are comfortable, and that is what makes them dangerous. They protect us from discomfort, but also imprison us in mediocrity. To truly learn, we must first confront the parts of ourselves that resist change. Ego is the most deceptive of these barriers because it often disguises itself as confidence. It tells us that asking questions makes us look weak, that admitting we don't know something is a flaw, but the opposite is true. Growth begins the moment we let go of the need to appear certain. The strongest minds are not those who know everything, but those who are willing to keep knowing more. Every expert was once a beginner, every teacher still a student. Humility is the gateway to wisdom, and those who embrace it unlock endless possibilities for growth. When we release the pride that keeps us stagnant, we create space for curiosity, and curiosity is the fuel that drives learning forward. Fear, on the other hand, paralyzes progress. It makes us doubt our ability to change and convinces us that failure is final. But failure is not the opposite of learning, it is part of it. Every mistake is a mirror that reflects what we still need to understand. The moment we stop fearing failure, we start turning it into feedback. The most transformative lessons often come from the times we fall short. When we look back, we realize that our greatest strength was not in avoiding mistakes, but in learning from them. The courage to fail is the courage to grow, and without that courage, no learning is ever complete. Then comes complacency, the quiet comfort that tells us we have done enough. It is perhaps the most dangerous barrier because it feels safe. It makes us believe that growth is only necessary when we are struggling, but learning is not a remedy for weakness, it is a celebration of potential. It is how we honor the gifts we have by continuing to expand them. Complacency limits not only our progress, but also our purpose. When we stop learning, we stop evolving, and when we stop evolving, we stop contributing to the world around us. To rise above these barriers, we must choose curiosity over certainty, courage over fear, and growth over comfort. Every day offers a new opportunity to learn something about the world, about others, and about ourselves. Each small lesson becomes a step toward becoming the person we are meant to be. The moment we decide to keep learning, despite ego, despite fear, despite comfort, we take back the power to shape our lives and the world around us. Lifelong learning is not about reaching a finish line, it is about embracing the journey of becoming. Every day we wake up with the opportunity to learn something that will change how we think, how we see the world, and how we understand ourselves. The beauty of learning is that it never truly ends, it evolves with us. What we learn in one season of life prepares us for the next. It stretches our minds and deepens our perspectives. It teaches us that growth is not confined to age, titles, or experiences. It is a continuous process that defines who we are and who we are still becoming. Learning keeps the human spirit alive because it reminds us that no matter how much we know, there is always more to explore. The journey of lifelong learning is not a race for achievement, it is a rhythm of self-discovery. It is the realization that learning is not just about gathering knowledge, but about expanding awareness. Each new lesson shapes our character and refines our purpose. When we keep learning, we begin to understand that wisdom is not found in having all the answers, but in remaining open to the questions. The act of learning connects us to something greater than ourselves. It humbles us, grounds us, and pushes us to keep growing beyond our past limitations. Every time we choose to learn, we choose to evolve, and in that evolution, we find meaning. The most inspiring people are not those who claim to have mastered life, but those who approach it as students forever curious, forever growing. They see change not as a threat, but as an invitation. They know that the lessons learned in struggle are often the ones that build strength, and the lessons found in success are the ones that demand gratitude. Learning transforms challenges into opportunities and uncertainty into potential. It reminds us that every experience, good or bad, has something to teach. Even the moments of failure or confusion hold within them the seeds of transformation if we are willing to listen and learn. The purpose of lifelong learning is not simply to adapt to a changing world, but to contribute to shaping it. Every skill we develop, every perspective we gain, and every insight we acquire becomes part of the collective progress of humanity. When we learn, we elevate not only ourselves but those around us. We inspire others to grow, to question, and to pursue their own path of discovery. The energy of one learner can ignite the growth of an entire community. Learning, at its core, is an act of service. It expands what we can give to others and to the world. In the end, lifelong learning is the art of becoming endlessly alive. It is the decision to keep moving forward, to stay curious, to never stop asking what more there is to know and who else we can become. It teaches us that change is not something to fear, but something to engage with, to shape, and to lead. The ones who keep learning never fade with time, they keep evolving with it. Because in a world that never stops changing, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the commitment to never stop learning. The power to shape the future never ends. It lives in the heart of every mind that remains open, curious, and courageous enough to keep growing.